What's up, tea freaks? This is James at TDB trying out a Denny intro.
How dare you? And this is Denny, and I'm so proper. For episode 305. And today we got some Poo Air. We got some 2001 Poo Air. Looks like, what do we got?
7432,
Recipe.
and it says MTF, which stands for Munghai Tea Factory,
Cool.
so Dai.
Hong Kong stored.
Yes, so this has been traditionally stored. And so this tea is being sold on Teas We Like. I forget what it sells for exactly. I think it's around $300. And yeah, let's give it a go.
Interesting.
How does it smell?
I'm having a hard time placing it, honestly. So, I don't know. Smells like tea. Smells old.
Yeah.
Something
So
like that.
I like these teas as sort of like an alternative to ripe. They're easy on the stomach, and they're different and pretty easy for someone like me to drink.
Mm-hmm.
They can also be a bit foreign to people that are not used to this sort of tea,
Mm-hmm.
and some people find it gross. So it's
Got
a
it.
polarizing sort of tea. So let's have a go. Compression looks pretty strong on this.
Yeah.
Kind of what we'd expect from a Munghai Tea Factory production.
There you go. I mean, it smells like an old pu'er, and the liqueur, not quite deep red, although we're going to keep brewing it out, but more of
Right.
an orange.
And we would think that would deepen a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see. The compression is strong, so we're working a little bit against that.
Yeah, definitely. So this will be interesting to taste. I wanted to have a lighter tea day today while we're filming, so these sorts of teas tend to be a little bit nicer on the stomach. Older raw pu'ers, as opposed to something young, are going to just be far more gentle. So
Yeah.
these teas can be, I wouldn't say underwhelming, but they'll be less potent than something else. But it still smells like lots of great flavor going on.
So not a great type of tea to have if you want to get into a bar fight. Just a little bit too mellow for that. Sometimes Denny texts me ahead of time. He's like, I think it's a bar fight day today.
Bar
and
fight
it's like,
tea.
okay, I think
Give
I
me
have
some
the tea for
recommendations.
us. So we hit the tea, and then we hit the bar. And we don't even have a drink. We just go and swing and, yeah, Shagwan.
None of that
Shagwan
is
for
true.
life.
But but we do like drinking old raw on this show.
Yeah.
And so forgive us.
Yeah.
Forgive James.
Forgive me. Guys. Cheers.
Cheers. Clean, still light, comforting. I love these teas.
Yeah.
Sweet. It blows me away how sweet these get.
Mm-hmm.
Because like unlike a oolong, like a jade oolong, or a freshly produced black tea, these teas sweeten with age, whereas those mellow out and get a little bit more earthy, minerally. They lose some of their sort of high note, fruity, sweet grassiness. These teas develop that sort of saccharine sweetness. Really nice.
Mm-hmm. It's a different sort of sweetness too than those teas that are more higher noted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for those that are not familiar, this is the traditional storage is sort of a type of storage that is really popular in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
This is the sort of
Absolutely
color
red.
that you expect from a brew. So
Totally.
really nice red. Sometimes it'll get even darker. Denny noted that this one was particularly clean. And I do think that is true. Some of these teas, especially if they're stored a little bit more haphazardly, can be a little wetter to the taste, a little less clean. Usually in those cases, sometimes that will clear up after a few infusions or so.
Beautiful liqueur, truly. Really lovely flavors. I'm excited to see how this develops too. These teas tend to become more and more interesting throughout their different sort of evolutions. stages of drinking.
Yep.
So yeah, looking forward to continuing to slurp on this bad boy.
Yep.
And this recipe, it's just a large scale recipe.
Well, the 2 at the end stands for the factory, so the Monghai Tea Factory.
Mm-hmm.
3 stands for the size of the leaf, so the leaf grade, which is not quite the same thing as leaf quality.
Mm-hmm.
So this has, I guess, smaller than average leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And the 74 stands for the year in which it was developed. So we're looking at the Nixon era recipe development here. So Nixon goes to China, they develop 7432. I have no idea. I'm just making up stuff at this point.
Yeah.
If you couldn't
pretty
tell.
much the history.
If you're that gullible to take history lessons from this, then God help you. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. More to the woodiness of this now. Tasting some of the sort of way that this has aged. Again, still sweet. As James had mentioned, and I had said this earlier, sort of it's clean, and what that really means is that there's no sourness, there's no dankness, there's no mushroominess to it. It doesn't, even though it's been aging, and there are things that are frankly growing in this tea, small little enzymes, and well, enzymes are not alive, little critters, tiniest of critters.
That's the scientific name, critters.
Yep.
The expert in critology.
And so damn it, I can't even. So yeah, anyway, this tastes freaking great. That's the main thing. Look at how dark that's gotten. Look at how red that's gotten. So these red teas,
yeah. And I would say that this tea is interesting. I think it sort of is on the lighter end of traditional storage. Mm-hmm. And I think it maintains a pretty good vibrancy. Like, I could definitely tell this is like a raw pu'er, for instance. Like, some of those teas can be so wetly stored that, I can enjoy them.
Yeah.
And they're so smooth and mellow. But for me, this tea has, it's clearly been aged in a certain fashion, but it's definitely still raw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It has an earthiness to it. It has a mineraliness to it. I think that one of the key differentiators, which you couldn't maybe tell if you were just looking at the liqueur, you couldn't tell if you were just noticing the wood, would be between a ripe and a raw, would be the amount of cherry sweetness. So ripe pu'ers tend to have this sort of vanilla-y cherry vibe going on. It's not nearly as present here at all. This is much more earthy and tree-y and sort of deeper flavors.
And another way I've heard sort of like the more traditionally stored ripes to be called is sort of like ginseng-y, which I think is kind of helpful if you're familiar with it. So a little bit more, I don't know, Chinese medicine shop ginseng.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Really tasty. Just continuing to enjoy the flavors in the mouth. I would say that this isn't the most like hard-hitting full-body tea, which is again kind of what I was after because I'm trying to like ease back into tea. So whereas something that would be much younger would be a lot more stimulating. It probably would be maybe a little bit better after some like a really fatty dim sum kind of a meal where you can sort of tolerate something like that. But this is light. It's subtle. Well, it's not too subtle, but really tasty.
Yeah. Although, interestingly, this sort of tea would be the traditional dim sum tea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mom test?
Not my mom. What about yours?
I don't know. I think maybe there's a sweetness to this tea, and there's a lack of abrasiveness that I think would be maybe. So, I don't know.
Actually, I take that back. Maybe my mom would like this, but I do think most moms might. This might be. You'd have to be a mom into.
Foodie mom.
Yeah, or maybe if she's really into fermented things and like you sort of prepare her. If it's someone that's like super into like keeping everything like really clean tasting and pure, I don't know that this is the right tea or the right type of tea, I should say. But
yeah, it's not fresh tasting.
Yeah. And one interesting thing about this
dark that is.
tea actually is that the guy that sent me it, Marco from Teas We Like, so thank you, Marco. He is usually not a big fan of these types of teas, but he found that this one stood out to him, and I think part of it is probably has to do with sort of the sort of lighter storage to it, as far as the spectrum goes, and the fact that this is pretty clean.
It really is.
Yeah.
Hints of some creaminess to it, not necessarily oaty, but just maybe vanilla.
Yeah.
Really tasty.
Yeah.
The liqueur on that is nuts. Look at how red that is. Crimson red. It's beautiful looking. So good. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm feeling a little bit elevated. I wouldn't say that this is like, again, like that deep body, like whoa kind of a tea. But I'd say that this would be a good middle tea in long days of tea sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And noteworthy. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have this one be our last steeping, and then we might be doing a Q&A episode next week if you all want to stay tuned.
Yeah, you guys should tune in for that. For sure. We will be answering all of the questions you guys sent. Well, not all of them. We'll be answering a lot of the questions except for the most inappropriate ones. Or maybe we'll only be answering the most inappropriate questions.
Find out next time on TDP.
Find out next time.
Send this to your grandma.
Yeah.
Give her a pat on the back and say I love you. If you love her. If you don't, then don't send it to her.
Yeah.
Maybe send it to her out of We'll just pretend like none of that ever happened. Let's keep drinking.
If there's something about grandmas back there, ignore it.
Don't worry about it.
It was an illusion.
Don't worry about it. It wasn't me.
It was a lucid dream.
A figment of your grandma nation. Sorry. Just unsubscribe. Or subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.
More minerally now. Getting into more of those, rocky, earthy flavors.
Not as sweet as earlier.
Not as sweet.
It's thickened up a lot.
Yeah. Little hint of bitterness, but not in a like mouth puckering or too intense sort of way, but just like in the same way that some good coffee can have a bitterness to it.
For sure.
It just has a little bit of that now.
Yeah. I definitely get the creaminess in the past couple steeps, as well as the vanilla, I think. I think that was right on.
Woody. And just delicious.
And we'd
deep
expect
body.
this to just keep going and going.
If the color, the saturation of the liqueur in terms of the color of it is an indication, we have quite a bit of time on this tea. And also given how hard pressed the tea was, just physically pressed, it will be slower to start and longer lasting tea as a result too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, folks, check us out on tdb.org. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification thing. Yeah. Comment below.
Thank you to the people of Teas We Like and Marco specifically for sending this over our way.
Check them out. Teas We Like, Google.
TeasWeLike.com or Teas We Like should get you the right result on the Googs.
Yeah, we might post the link below in the description.
Yep. And this is kind of a rare tea to find in the Western market. There's not like, I think there's one vendor that sells teas sort of like this, but not the most popular tea amongst Westerners. And I think to some extent people are missing out because I think it is a good and an interesting sort of tea.
Fascinating. It's delicious. I'm sitting here listening to James, just experiencing the flavors. Just potent in the best way. Really tasty.
Yeah.
Check us out on tdb.org. Subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Do us all the things. Be our best friends. Send us to your mom. Send it to your grandma.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all next time for episode 306.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.